Started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. It's Tuesday, March 31st. It's the last day of the month in March 2020 in this kind of bizarre time. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com and the Sign and Thrive Notary Training Course and Community. Our co-hosts today are Carol Ray. Carol Ray, founder of Notary to Pro, of course. Carol, thanks for being here this week.
Yep.
Are you there?
I got a lot to say today.
Uh-oh. Love it. Well, let's see. Let's go there. Well, let's introduce Laura first. Laura, viewer, of course, founder of CoachMeLaura.com. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
She looks so pretty.
I do. Thank you. It's amazing what 30 minutes and makeup can do.
No kidding.
I know. It's like, I got it. So, Carol, what's going on? What are you excited about? What do you got to share this week?
I haven't thought of. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I am excited about. I'm excited about the generosity of my graduates because so many of them, instead of being concerned with competition, they not only are starting to get together, networking, but they are sharing their experiences with us, Notary to Pro, with other people, with not worried about their creating competition by recommending us, but just out of the generosity in their hearts that they find people that if they need this and they're interested, they're sharing. And so that's making us just grow tremendously. But the networking, I'm so excited about. I'm really loving that. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Wonderful. And I can't wait to hear more about how that unfolds. And I think you nailed it. I mean, sometimes a crisis can bring out the worst in people, but in our community, we're so grateful that it's really helped bring out the best. And that's what I love about our audience as well, is there's so much kindness and we're very heart driven here. And I see so many people reaching out and taking care of each other. It's awesome. Laura, thanks for being here. What's going on with you and what are you excited about?
You know what? A lot is happening, as it is, I'm sure, for everybody. But one of the things I want to mention is that all of us as notaries across the United States are being impacted with the coronavirus and our business. And as I think all of you know, there are emergency orders going out every day. And we have over 50% of the states now have an emergency order to either implement RON immediately. Even though they had statutes on the books, they weren't ready yet. They decided to waive that and just go for it. And then most of the states didn't even have any statutes. It's just an emergency order. And if you want to know more about that, I went to every Secretary of State's website that has an emergency order. I read the proclamations, I read the orders, and then I put together a video by state about that emergency order having to do with RON and what the requirements are for that. And so some of those videos are already posted on my website. I have more that need to be added to the website. And as new ones are being added to the list of emergency orders, I'm adding those videos as well. I'm also putting some resources there. And all you have to do is go to CoachMeLaura.com at COVID-19, and I have a landing page for that. And you can take a look at what I have so far. And like I said, there are at least 26 states right now that have that, and each one is a little different. Most of them require communication technology like a RON platform, but there are 2 that don't. Some are under temporary emergency orders, so we have to watch when that end date is because it means RON stops for that state unless they decide to adopt it further. So each one has some very unique requirements for that state, and that's why I broke it out state by state. And I hope that's helpful to you guys.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for doing that. And I love it. Just makes me appreciate the dynamic of the 3 of us here anyway. But just the fact that we have a resource like you that is going to geek out and is going to do this research and is going to help just navigate it. Because if you thought the languaging was gray and kind of bogged down before, even these new emergency orders, they leave a lot of things up in the air. So I really appreciate that you put this resource together for our community. So thank you for that. And I did put a link to your website and your landing page for the COVID-19 in the chat window, guys, if you've got that. But it is just coachmelora.com/COVID-19. Awesome.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up today kind of has something to do with that and this whole thing that's going on. And I briefly talked to Laura the other day about it. This curbside signing stuff. Mm-hmm. From what I've understood about what they're proposing that people do is so illegal. It goes against everything that we are taught, everything that's required of us to do, such as we will not have the ability, we might have the ability to look at somebody's driver's license through a window, but it's not the same as feeling it, looking at it, and seeing the things that we're trained to do, which feeling it is important, because there are things that indicate that a document is fraudulent, a driver's license, passport, feeling of bubbles in it sometimes, things like this. I go through that stuff in the course, so I know that my graduates know how to tell usually what that is. But it's also the ability that they can't really, you're not seeing, like if they're doing it behind closed doors, they're signing these documents because you're waiting outside and they've signed them. You're not witnessing their signature. You're not watching them sign. You're not able to have them watch you, doing your notarial certificate, stamping it, signing it. That's supposed to be done directly in front of them. So I've talked to a lot of people, called the Secretary of State in California, and I'm being told now, I've had some people kind of investigating their states, that the only way that we can do anything about it is for the Secretary of State's office to get complaints. You have to file formal complaints. I don't know who is going to be willing to do that, if they're going to expose your name to people. Nobody wants that. They don't want to cut off their, their space with these companies that are hiring them. They want to continue to be able to work and get jobs. But yet I'm so afraid that people are going to do these types of things and they're going to get penalized at some point in time, could lose their commissions for going out and doing these curbside signings. So what does everybody think?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up again. This is the third time in 3 weeks that we've been able to talk about this, and I still see the conversations happening in the forums. I think it's really important that we continue to reiterate the importance of integrity in your job. The reason that we exist, the reason that this role exists as a notary public and in the extension as a loan signing agent, is to protect people, to protect the public against fraud, against losing their fortunes, against losing their legacies. If we cannot provide that service, if we can't do our jobs in integrity, then we should not be doing them. If you are dropping packages off and then just doing all your notarizations later, then you're not protecting that person. You're not protecting the duress. You're not protecting your role. There's so much culpability. And it's real easy to justify, oh, well, this is an emergency. We've got to do this. This is for their safety and protection. And yeah, that exists somewhat too. But there's also, these situations bring out the worst in people too. There are people out there that will take advantage of the cut corners, of the fact that you're not going to be in the same room with them, or you're not going to examine the ID. There's going to be grant deeds and warranty deeds, quitclaim deeds all over the place. People trying to get in to take advantage of these situations. And you are the stopping point. You're the last line of defense sometimes. So please take this work seriously. It makes a big deal to the lives of the people in the world. Laura, did you have something else you wanted to tie into the
I just want to tie into that the NNA got in communication with the signing services that were promoting that type of curbside and told them that it was illegal and that they cannot be asking notaries to do that. And that just happened last week. So I don't know what's happening as a result, but the NNA, if somebody called the NNA hotline and asked about it, they would be saying, no way, Jose.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. Glad that we're, the thing is too, is we have to be somewhat patient and understanding with this. People are coming up with solutions. They're trying to figure out how to still be of service so things don't come to a grinding halt, but also keep safety and the security in place. So thank you for, your voices are the reason that people are getting behind the decisions of, stopping that kind of behavior. So thank you for bringing it up and standing for integrity. All right, so guys, this is your time. If you have live questions, we're going to open it up to live questions. That's been going over really well. So there are ways to raise your hand in this window. You can post a question in the chat window too, but there's no guarantee that me or Carol or Laura will see it. So it might be better to just raise your hand. If you have questions about how to do that, just type it in the chat window and people can walk you through it. But is there anybody right now that would like to kick us off? You got that burning question or a challenge or even a big win, guys. We love hearing about big wins and victories right now. There's a lot of volume in a lot of communities right now. So I know a lot of you are working, a lot of you aren't working. All questions are open and fair game here.
So I feel like I had a big win yesterday.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
This is my, I've been saying yes when I can, and my wife had to have oral surgery, and we've been planning for it for a while, but because of my notary business, I was able to just pay for it. I didn't have to worry about anything, so that was a big win for me.
That's awesome. That's the gift of this business. I love that. Thanks for sharing it, Mike. Patricia Bridges, how are you? You want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, hello everybody. I have a twofold. I have a statement and a question.
Great.
Number one, the statement is, the lenders are telling their clients that they can do curbside, and they come prepared for you to give them the documents. If you tell them it's illegal, I can't do it, I'll have to walk away, they let you in. I tell them I don't have a problem with gloves, masks, or whatever else, but I cannot do that. I have to witness it. So it's a mixed bag of nuts, but you have to just stand your ground. I don't do garage signings anymore. I think I'm catching pneumonia from being in the garages. It's too cold. I'm in Chicago. That doesn't work for me, so if I feel that they can't let me in, I won't accept it. Number two, Carol, you had one of your graduates on who was working with Ron and did the platform, and you did a presentation through her. Is it possible that we could get her back on to find out, since they're doing this emergency, like a liability, how do we get involved and what it takes and how much money, so forth and so on? Thank you.
Yeah, she and I are going to be meeting tomorrow. She's been working with Notarize. The background, I think, is some of you know, not all of you know, that several years ago, Notarize, one of the software creators, flew out from Boston to my home and met, because I was very verbal about not wanting this type of notarization. I felt like we were in danger of exposing ourselves to maybe handling a signing where someone was under duress when you're doing it via computer. That was my big my big concern, and I was very loud about it, which I am when I'm against something. And so they came out, and basically what they wanted to do was to demonstrate the software to me to calm me down so I'd shut my mouth. And they wanted to use my graduates, which was it was really flattering that they wanted to use my graduates to start them off. And they did. They hired a lot of them, and there's still a lot of them are still doing the same thing they were doing, working from home. But now there are big notarizes in a lot of these states, and they're going to be a major factor in the industry. So one of the graduates that started off with them, she's been with them right from the very beginning. She now has all of the materials that you need to train. She knows what she's doing, and she's been told by Notarize that she would be able to help with the training. So I'm working with her to try to present something for my graduates, and we're going to be meeting tomorrow. She's going to be getting more information, and I'm hoping to get that up really quickly, like we're hoping within the next couple of weeks. So that's what we're doing. And I assume that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing more about that. Great question, Patricia. Sue, I'm sorry, we'll let you go next. I know you tried to chime in a little earlier. Feel free.
Well, I just want to say that you guys, Laura, I love you. I have a talk with you tomorrow. Bill, I have a talk with you tomorrow. And Carol, you're probably sick of talking to me because last week was crazy. But I just want to say that how much I just totally appreciate you guys. Oh, I'm going to start crying. And this getting into the notary business has so changed my life that having people like you in the background steering me is so special. And to go on that, I got a call while I was waiting for you guys to upload from a notary who needs to have her bond notarized. And so while I'm talking to her, I said, can I ask you a question? And she goes, yes. I said, you're a notary and I'm a newbie. Would you mentor me? And her head just about, I could hear her head fall through the phone. And she said, I would be more than happy to help you in any way I can. So I must say that I love the notary community. I love you guys, and thank you for being in my lives at this time of things. That's all I needed to say.
That was awesome, Sue. Thank you so much for sharing that. We love hearing messages like that for sure. And I love that you're here with us as well. And guys, everybody who's on the call, I honor you, honor yourselves for taking time out of your day to grow yourself and your business during this time. I know this is what helps us tick, right, Carol? You know?
Absolutely.
I love this. Thank you, Sue. All right.
This is a tough time right now for a lot of people that have full-time jobs, and they're without work for goodness knows how long.
Definitely. Dita, thanks for raising your hand. How can we help?
Sure. So hi all. So since so many of us have greatly reduced or completely are stopping doing signings, I'm wondering if there are any statistics available yet, any info available on how this is affecting the loan industry in general for the greater financial picture.
Great question. All I can do is share about my experience. So I don't want to speculate and guess on everything, but I can share. Sorry, we got some background noise. I don't know where it's coming from though. we are ending out the month in probably a record-breaking month, but I'll tell you, it's been exhausting because we are running in on the signing company side of things, less and less people that are available to fulfill orders that are already off the charts. Like the pipeline is really full. So I don't know how full that pipeline is and how far it will trickle out. But I can tell you that my clients are preparing us for a substantial April as well. Well, whether or not, I don't know what economic factors are going to play into that, but it's in Arizona anyway, it feels like business as usual. I mean, things are really closing. What that will do on this with the secondary market, and I think FHA is changing some guidelines. I think the reverse mortgage industry might have some impact on this. I think there's a lot that's still up in the air, but right now it feels to be going pretty strong. Carol, have you heard anything?
No, but I'll tell you what I personally am expecting, and that is that after this is over, it's gonna be a couple of months, but you guys better be prepared because it is going to be a busy, busy, busy year. I think it's going to be a great year after this. I'm very sad for those people who've lost income. I'm seeing it in my family. I'm seeing it in a lot of my graduates where their full-time income is just gone. Interesting things are happening. I mean, where we live, we usually have groceries delivered anyway because we're out on the island and it just makes sense. Little local market, they treat us right. But now they're like, well, we can get it to you sometime this week. It's usually within hours. And now everything around us, restaurants have closed, everything's closed. People, they're not able to earn a living. But it'll come back, I think, for notaries, especially, we're going to be swamped.
Yeah. And on the same note too, and Joe, thank you for prompting me to talk about it because that's something that's impacting me in the signing business a lot, and a lot more than I had hoped for. And it's this idea of price gouging. And I'd really like Carol to chime in on this and Laura to chime in too. And I'll go first because as the owner of a signing company, it's a real turnoff. And we have been hitting notaries that are charging double, triple, quadruple, ridiculous fees. 2, 3, 4. I've heard people talking about $700 somewhere to do these loan signings, and then justifying it by calling it hazard pay or Corona pay or I'm just that good pay. And that's where you can kind of people say, hey, you see the conversation on how it shows up on Facebook. You don't call it this or that. But let me just tell you what that does to a relationship. Because I have a notary that's been part of my team for several years who doubled the fee. And although I may not be able to help it, I may not be able to have any other way. So I might have to use them now, but you can bet I'm not going to use that person in the future because I'm being raked over the coals, which makes me either have to eat it or I have to go to my client and say, I got to double or triple my fees because I can't find people who will work. And that adds an extra layer to this that just feels really dirty. And I caution you to always keep the big picture in mind. I've talked about that from the very beginning. Always keep the big picture in mind. Keep a win-win relationship. You absolutely deserve to get your pay. Like, these $30, $40, it's really obvious now how lowball that is. I'm not encouraging you to take that, but we should be at the 100, 125, 150 range. These things that are $300 or $400, you might make a few hundred, maybe a few $1,000 right now during this crisis, but that will not hold. And those, I'm filing it away. Like, there's a list of people who are raking me over the coals, and I'm not going to use those people for these services after that. I just don't like the way it feels. So keep the big picture in mind, no matter what you decide to do. Be fair, be communicative, and don't rake people, don't take advantage of this situation. Carol, have you had any thoughts on this, or have you encountered it yet?
I've talked to several signing service owners, and I'm hearing the same thing, that they're having people that are just gouging them, taking advantage of them, and those people are not going to work when this is over. There's not going to be work, and nobody can sit back and think, well, they won't think about it, or they'll think it's okay because they really needed me at the time. You guys will be out of business. Your notary business is going to be dead.
It's very short thinking. And you have an opportunity to be a hero to the transaction, to the clients. You know, I'm getting lots of questions about using this opportunity to connect with escrow officers. I think there's absolutely an opportunity to do that in a very classy way that just shows that you can be of service and that you're still working. But again, it's just all in balance too. And we have to be really sensitive. And this is what I'm going to be focusing on. You know, I'm looking forward to this quarantine break, you know, if it slows down, because this end of month has been insane. It's been very stressful for a lot of different reasons. So what I'm going to be focusing on in the coming weeks is the reconnecting with myself and keeping peace of mind. Everybody's fuses are super short right now. So if you try to sell yourself or sell your services the same way you were before this crisis, it's going to land flat and insensitive. You've got to adapt to the situation, and you've got to be sensitive to what other people are going through. And I will tell you that escrow officers are terrified of losing their jobs right now. Everybody's been put on alert. They think they're going to be laid off. So they're stressed out about that. And if you try to sell to somebody who has that kind of stress and pressure in their life, the same way that you've always been doing, they are not going to hear you. So you've got to really get into the emotion and the feelings of this and make sure you're coming at it from a place of being of service. Laura, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. This idea of price gouging.
Yeah, I'm just right in line with you, and we had this discussion that to take advantage of the situation this week is transactional thinking. It's about what am I going to get the most I can for the next few, whatever it is, month or two, and then you basically cut off your relationships after that, and that's not what will give us the kind of business we want to have next year. And, you know, that is a question of integrity, of who I am all the time, not who I am based on the situation.
Love that. Thank you. Great. And thanks again, Joe, for prompting me to talk about that. I'm really passionate about that. Joseph Paulo, you have your hand up. Feel free to unmute and ask your question. How can we help?
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it, Bill.
Certainly.
And I actually have a lot on my mind today. One of the things is again, I'm pretty new at this and just starting to get into the swing of things. And I hear some people talking about skipping signing databases and going straight for escrow in order to make this a full-time job quickly. But then I've heard that messing up with direct escrow jobs is a good way to not get more direct escrow jobs. So that being said, should it be a mandatory thing for new signing agents to do databases first? And if so, is it easy to get stuck in a circle where it's hard to break out of that and into the escrow thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Excellent question. I like the way you're thinking. Carol, would you like to address this first?
I have students all the time ask me this, going straight to the escrow and title companies. You've got to earn that. This isn't something that you just walk into the office and you're going to start getting work. They need to know that you're experienced, that you have integrity, that you know what you're doing. Your reputation is good. It takes time. You need to do the foundation work. You need to work with the signing services and build your business, build a repertoire with people, get good comments. If you have a website, take testimonials, do whatever you can to get the word out there that you know what you're doing. When you've got that kind of a background, now you've got some credentials to go in and start to work with people and offer your services and let them know what you can do for them. But until then, you're going to have a lot of banging your head on the wall, frankly. Maybe it's taking the optimism out of what you do, but I'm just being realistic. I try to be as honest as I can with my students. And when they tell me they want to go direct, that's great. Bill does direct only. He tells people he does direct only. He's earned that. It took him time to build those relationships, and it doesn't happen easily. He's excellent at what he does, or he wouldn't be connected with people like that. But it doesn't happen easily. You gotta pay your dues.
And then I'd like to talk about this a little bit too, because I'm right on the same wavelength with Carol. There's so much benefit to starting with the signing companies, especially right now. The volume is high and they need high quality people. So if you want to start making or earning an income and laying the foundation for those relationships, this is the time to do it. And then knowing that there is opportunity with escrow officers right now, you can do them both simultaneous, that hybrid model that I often talk about. But right now it's like, jump in, start earning revenue right now, because the thing that Carol just talked about was the time. Cultivating like genuine, authentic, and long-lasting relationships take time. If you go in there wham bam willy-nilly, you get wham bam willy-nilly, and then the next guy who walks in wham bam willy-nilly's and you're gone. You know, there's something shiny. You got to invest a little bit of time, and it is going to take time for the good ones. Sometimes you just hit it off with people and it's great, but it's usually going to take a little bit of time. But in the meantime, you can be earning revenue right now through the signing companies. And I always add the caveat, guys. There are no rules. There is a best practice for doing this. But when I first started, I didn't know that signing companies were in existence. I didn't even know the National Notary Association was around. I was like, literally, I had no idea this stuff existed. So I just did it. And I'm a shy introvert, and I tried the door knocking. That didn't work. So I came up with another strategy. It's finding ways to connect with people, and then talking about them and sharing that, researching it, doing a little more on the back end, so that when I have a conversation with them, it's warmer, and it's like two friends connecting that way. So yes, you can do escrow direct right away. It's just not recommended. There's so many more ways. I made so many mistakes. I burned so many bridges not knowing how to balance these types of relationships, that it's amazing that I was still I came through it, because I used every signing, every appointment, every marketing effort as a learning experience to keep learning and implementing something new until finally you find a methodology that works.
Right. Wow, thank you for that. And another thing I just wanted to say, and I did touch base on this a little bit last time, but I don't think I've ever met or connected with anyone that I feel is and more in tune. I feel that, and I had to write this down because I wanted to make sure that I let you know all of this. That you're not solely in this for the money, and it showed. I opened up an email from you today, and it said basically, if you're working, that's great, stay safe. If you're not, that you totally support and honor that decision as well. So that just kind of solidifies my point that you really care for people wherever they are, whether it's in one way or another. And that makes so much of a difference. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you do. You take your time out to do this, to help people and answer questions like mine. And Laura and Carol, the same goes for the both of you. I'm just so thankful for you guys.
Well, right back at you, Joseph. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. I know we all do.
And one of the things you mentioned also in your email was you talked about different things of how to stay dialed in to the business. And you mentioned one of them was fingerprinting. Now, this is something that once I get my notary business going to where I'd like it to be, this is kind of like a phase 2 idea. And I'm wondering if anyone out there is actually doing it, if it's, you know, a lot to get started or, you know, financially or.
I love that you're even asking that. So yeah, we've had actually a couple people on TNT that's discussed it. I also have, I spoke with Hannah over at, oh my gosh, the name of that big, yeah, LiveScan.
LiveScan.
She actually did a little presentation for us. So I'm going to release that. We've got some cool stuff coming up on the side hustle. And I love how you just labeled that as like phase 2. It is going to be a great add-on service once you get your notary business up to a certain level and you can start focusing on adding additional service. That is a great way to go. And I'll have that information out to you. Plus, there's lots of people in this group that I know do it, so they might be adding into the chat. So you might get lots of valuable information there. It does require a little bit of a startup, but that might still be okay. That's what I'm so glad you brought it up too, Joseph, because I wanted to share. I went to the UPS store yesterday, who they normally have the LiveScan system all set up there. They have closed it down because of the coronavirus, but there are still people who have to get that kind of stuff done. So if this is across the board, this could be an opportunity. And Laura has a great solution for the sanitizing for fingerprints, just for her journal. Right, Laura? What do you use for that?
So 2 things, just aside for the journal, I use the alcohol prep pads for their thumb, and I let them self-sanitize their thumb before they put it into the thumb printer so that it stays good for everybody following. And if you did hospital work or you're planning to do hospital work in the future, that's also a good way to keep it clean when you are taking care of patients that are in a compromised position in a hospital. The other thing I want to say is Joyce Gonzalez is the person who's the LiveScan person, and she has an office in Tracy, and she's performing it because of the way her office is situated to the external part of the building. She was able to do some kind of setup, so she's not face to face exactly, and she's able to work with her hands gloved, and there's like this plexiglass thing in between them to do the fingerprinting. So her office is set up for this situation, and she's able to do that. So if you're in California and Central Northern, that's a place where you can go to do that. And I thought that was great thinking on her part about how could she alter how somebody walks up to her place of business so that it would be a safe environment for her. So those were the 2 things I wanted to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, and we'll get some more info out to you as well, Joseph, as we go.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate that. Thanks for the great questions. Arlene Vincent, hello. If you'd like to unmute and ask your question, we're all yours. Arlene Vincent, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Is it? Yes, I'm mute now.
How are you?
Good to go. I hear a lot of talk about all over the place, but I don't hear a lot of talk about Pennsylvania, which is the only state that the governor said we can do electronic notary. And I have been set up with Doc Verify for the last 2 years. However, I just got on Pavaso last night, and that's the only one that's remote. However, even in a remote case, they still have what they call wet documents that you still have to be before these people. So it kind of defeats the purpose. But in Pennsylvania here, I've had all kinds of things. Before 8 o'clock this morning, I had a dozen calls for electronic notary alone. I am ranked pretty high with a lot of people. I do believe it's how you carry yourself. I also believe it's how you stay consistent, and that price gouging, I don't care what kind of business you in, if it's stores or anything else, you can look to be out of business when it's all said and done. But I had went to someone to do a power of attorney, and they wanted to know if I can do it electronically, which I cannot because they need witnesses and everything else. And the price I charged them, they wanted to know, which I charged them just $100, you know, for travel. You had to go a distance and do whatever. They wanted to know why mine was $100 and the guy that they called before me was $250.
Whoa.
I said, well, for a power of attorney, I honestly couldn't give you a good answer about call him back because I didn't want to throw him under the bus, but it makes, when people do that, it makes us all look bad.
Yeah.
But as far as electronic notary and remote notary, are you getting a lot of that? Is anybody getting a lot of that? Do you think there's any success in it? Because I've been involved in e-notarization for the last 2 to 3 years, and I really don't have a lot of business here in Pennsylvania for it. And I'm willing to drop it, let it go. But in these times that we're in right now, it seems like it's the time where it should be jumping.
Well, and you know, with these emergency orders, and of course, Pennsylvania is one of them, it is. And they're scrambling because notaries need to have an e-seal or their digital certificate. In Pennsylvania, actually, RON providers have been approved by the department, which is DocVerify, SafeDocs, and Pavaso. Pavaso for real estate, the other two for general purposes, like a power of attorney. So the problem is there's a lot of notaries not prepared to handle the remote. And the remote is complete, a hybrid where you do some of it via the internet and some of it wet documents. Remote, nothing is done
Exactly.
manually. It is 100% the electronic notarization is what keeps you from having to do anything on paper. And there's
that's all
going to be a lot of this
a lot
business.
of people have this when they call me about digital, they're just in it. They have it in the back of their mind that you're going to be at point A and I'm going to be at point B. We're not going to be in our physical presence, which Pennsylvania do not allow that. However, I have been set up for electronic notary, which you still have to be approved with the state for that and be sworn in, as well as, you know, when you get your bond and everything else. So the ones who are not set up for it, I don't know what to say, but it's still not a lot of people that are doing things that are really educated on how it's done.
Yeah, I think what you're speaking to there is what we're seeing kind of across the board. Because even though there are 13 states that had remote online notarization, it has not been a clear, smooth, easy process.
Right. It
is really convoluted. And this is what I would urge, and Arlene, thank you for bringing it up for just Pennsylvania with these emergency orders. But we're seeing it in New York. We're seeing it in some of the other states too, where it's just not clear. So I would urge you, I mean, this is where experts are going to emerge. You're right. Probably close to being the expert for your state right now. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for that, but there's also, you want to make sure that no matter what, that you can still maintain the integrity of your office. So a lot of this, these emergency orders are going to have unusual trade-offs or ways that they're allowing for this to happen. So you really got to focus in on that. And Laura, luckily, has that that COVID-19 page out that's going to help navigate some of this a little bit.
Right.
And what we were talking about, I just got a paper as well that was sent to me yesterday from Equity, and that is a pretty large title company. But they sent me a whole PDF on door side closings, and I have all intentions of forwarding that to you so you can see exactly what it is. A lot of people, I really can't see how you can successfully take care of your business with that type of process. But I want to send it to you and let you see what this door side closings is like. I went to one closing and the title company called me and said that the lawyer asked for them not to allow the notary to get out of the car. That was the most indifferent thing I had. But now in his case, he did only had a quick deed, so he didn't have a whole loan package, so it wasn't too bad. But I was really pretty well floored about the process as he wanted.
Yeah, weird.
Do not get out the car. That was the instructions the title company gave me. I took the job before they called me back with these last minute instructions. Yeah. And the second one that I took, I got last minute instructions where the lady of the house had a picnic area, like 2 doors, a community place 2 doors away from the house where they had picnic tables out there. And that's where I could notarize the papers. However, that day it was raining and I had to do it under the umbrella. So for those special instructions, I prefer really not to even take the job, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's that's kind of where we're all at. You'll have to make the individual decisions for yourself on whether or not those work. And I think we can be totally comfortable in the renegotiation too, right? If you take an order, you have a certain expectation that it's going to be one way and they change the terms on you after the fact,
Right.
then it's perfectly okay to communicate whether that's going to work for you or not, cancel the job out. What I encourage you to do though, is to communicate as soon as possible. Don't wait to the last minute because the system's already overwhelmed. Already, there's lots of signing orders that haven't been able to be fulfilled.
Exactly. Exactly.
Great, Arlene. Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I can't wait to see where Laura comes out with is there a Pennsylvania video, Laura?
There is. It hasn't been added to my site yet, but I recorded it last night. And I talk about, the 3 things. There's an application, a free application that you use to apply to be the electronic notary. Use the e-notary solution. I mentioned what those 3 choices are. And then make sure that your notary certificate indicates the act was done by means of communication technology. Something like this notarial act involved the use of communication technology. So on the certification that we fill out, our certificates, and this is true for anybody doing RON under these emergency orders, and you're not using personal appearance, just like Florida went to, we need to indicate on the certificate, and if we have to add it, we add it, that says this was done remotely using communication technology. So later on, when somebody looks at that document, they'll know how personal appearance was achieved. It's all about being transparent for whoever the receiver of the documents are.
But if you go on Pavasco, you actually get a barcode on there and you get a form where that explains that.
Perfect.
And that has to be included with whatever documents you have. So people have to know up front exactly how that was achieved.
Right.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. But not all states have done exactly what Pennsylvania is doing or Pavaso is doing if they're using a different provider. And so I just want to make it clear that if you're jumping in there under an emergency order to suspend personal appearance or physical appearance and you're using communication technology, we want to make sure it indicates it on the notary certificate.
Okay, I got one last question.
Sure.
I'm appointed. I got my new commission. I got my appointment with the state, but the city hall hasn't been open for me to be sworn in with my bond. So now, can I go to another notary to get sworn in? But now, how do I get my actual license from the city in Pennsylvania? Because it's really been a piece of work, and I have to the end of April.
It's a great question. I don't know. Laura, I know you just kind of
look up Pennsylvania specifically because I've already put out a video on how to do it when you're in California. And that is the use of having another notary give you the oath of office. And I think that's not going to be an issue. And then you have to send it in to the receiving agency with the appropriate fees. But there may be some additional details to that. I can look it up for you. If you want to give me an email, I can respond to you. My email is my last name, Bewer, at sbcglobal.net. And then I'd be happy to respond on how to get that done. I was trying to also look up one of the states under emergency order has extended the amount of time that notaries have to go get their commission from the circuit court. And I can't remember which state that is. And I think it granted them an extra 60 days.
But if you have your stamps and you already have your bond with the National Notary Association and you do not have your license, can you work?
No, you have to complete the process.
Right. My point exactly. In Pennsylvania, if I mailed my form after I got sworn in for another notary, the city is not even open for anyone to take a package, even if I FedEx it there and have somebody sign it.
Well, they're not working on the inside. So for us, they have skeleton crews. They are processing mail. They're receiving mail, and they're taking care of it. And what you do is you ask for a conformed copy of the bond, which means you sign as the principal, you make a copy of the bond, you send the original and the copy with a cover note that says, may I please have a conformed copy? And they'll stamp your copy and send it back to you in the mail. So you have proof that it's been processed.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Great questions. Thank you, Arlene. Linnell
Thank
Pratt,
you.
how are you? You are welcome to unmute and ask your question. Linnell Pratt.
Hello there, Bill. Hi, nice to meet you virtually.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to follow up with, I think it was Joseph, who just mentioned how reachable you are, how contactable you are, and how much you respond to emails and questions and things like that. So I just really thank you for sharing your story with us. And it's interesting to know that you failed your way to success. So that's really encouraging, because I failed in a couple of other businesses as well. So my question is, I'm a newbie loan signing agent. I've done general notary work at work for the company that I work for. But for the notary signing agent business, in terms of the identification of the borrowers, the driver's license, must the name be exactly printed? And I've heard different variations of this. So if the name is not printed exactly like it is on the loan documents, printed on the driver's license, is it not considered a complete match?
It gets a little confusing sometimes, especially when we say it needs to match exact. What exactly needs to match exactly? Carol, we haven't heard from you in a little bit. Are you available to help guide Linnell?
Yeah, this is the toughest thing I think we go through.
Yeah.
I think of all the things that I've handled over the almost 11 years now. That's the biggest one.
Mm.
It's actually gotten better over the years because more and more states like California are allowing the notaries to use their own integrity to determine whether or not these people are notarized worthy. Generally, first of all, if the identification has more information, such as 3 full names, let's say it's John David Miller, okay, and the documents are John D. Miller, you're fine.
Okay.
If it's the other way around, you need to be satisfied with perhaps other documentation or comparing the description on the document. And if you feel that you are absolutely certain that person is the same as the one whose name is on the documents, then you're fine.
Okay.
If you have a situation where you've got a scribble on your documents, we've talked about this before. If somebody has a scribble that you can't even read, the way I've approached it over the years is to ask them, does this constitute your full name as it appears on your identification and on the documents? And if they tell me yes, and I don't care if it's a line and a circle or an X with a bubble above it, it doesn't matter. I'll use that. And for a long time, the lenders, and I'm sure Laura will attest to this as well, would say, oh, no, it's got to be exactly the same as it is on it. I'm not going to ask a seller, a buyer, anybody who I'm notarizing to forge their own signature. That's exactly what we're asking them to do if we're asking them to not use their legal signature. So I don't know if this helps or not, but it's
Absolutely.
gotten
Yes,
easier.
it does. It helps quite a bit.
Good.
Thank you so much for that.
Great
And then
question.
also one last question. Do we use the same journal logbook for notary signings as we do for general notary work?
Yes. And
In
you
most
have to have
states, you
it.
can only have one journal.
Yeah, you can only have one, and you have to have it consistent with the dates consistent.
Okay.
You know,
It has to be in order.
Perfect. Great. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Thanks for
You're
tuning in.
welcome.
Gina, I don't have your last name, but you are free to unmute and ask your question. All right.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Gina.
I forgot my question. How you guys doing? Thank you for the forum. I guess the one question I think I had was relating to what Joseph had said also, and I've been doing this a long time, and I just moved to a new state. But I have people who ask me to mentor them.
Can Gina mute?
Gina.
I'm still so old school.
Hey, Gina. Gina, are you there?
In this day and age,
I don't think she can hear me.
people call me and they say, "Oh,
Hey, Gina.
this part-time, mad money."
Gina, we can't hear you.
Gina, yeah,
it's your internet.
I put you on mute because you're cutting up really bad, but
So I guess my question is, yes,
See if she can type it in the chat room.
yes.
Gina, I turned off your camera so you might have more bandwidth now. Can you ask your question again? I don't think it's working. Gina, we'll have to come back to you. I'm so sorry. Guys, we have time for one more question. Guy, you are next in line. Would you like to unmute and ask a question?
In an hour.
Yeah, we're right at an hour. Guy, are you there? Guy going once? Going twice? All right. Beth Hathu, how are you?
Where is she?
Hello, can you see me?
Hi, Kim. Yeah, it's Beth's turn right now. We'll come back to you.
Sorry about that. I was having trouble finding my mouse.
No problem. Go for it.
So I'm going to go back to the working, not working, price gouging issue for a moment. You know, we all kind of speak at where we're at.
Yeah.
At the moment. So I have a question, and then I'd like to make a quick statement. So we already established that it's probably not a good idea to price gouge, because when it's all over, you probably won't be working for very many people. But in these times, if you're choosing not to work, do you think that has a long-term effect on your business as a whole?
Great question. And I've been really impressed with the attitude from like the escrow officers, my clients, you know, for the signing company. I've also been really impressed with the way notaries, for the most part, especially the ones who are choosing not to work, the way they're handling it. So I don't consider that, like, as a signing company owner, I totally honor that decision, and I encourage everybody to make the best decision for themselves and their family. So that part does not carry on for me negatively. I can't speak to every single scheduler and every single signing company. What I do know is it's probably frustrating trying to fill orders, because if they care about their business kind of like I do, then I don't want to let people down. And I've had to let so many people down in the last 10 days. It's devastating to me, because I've never had to do that before. So there might be some of that comes through in schedulers and calls, but ultimately I don't think I haven't experienced any long-term negative impacts to being smart for yourself and your family. Carol, have you heard anything?
No, and I'm telling all my graduates who they've got to do what they feel best. My daughter Lori, you know, she's a signer, and she has chosen to not take any work at all because she lives with Bill and I, and so she has elderly parents, 77 and 82, and our health is compromised. So she doesn't want to bring it home. doesn't want to take chances. There's other people that they don't feel they take all of the precautions that they can, and they have to earn some money to take care of their families. So they chose to continue to work. It's a situation, but nobody's going to hold it against them. Nobody's going to hold it against you if you're not working.
Yeah.
Okay, so Saturday night, my husband was suddenly overcome with chest pain. We went to urgent care thinking it was a heart attack. Probably should have gone to ER, but nowadays you have to call ahead. So we went to urgent care, and it turns out he has pneumonia. So of course, the first thing they did was give him a COVID-19 test. And so we're sitting here on our thumbs, not taking any orders since Saturday, turning back everything we had Monday, Tuesday, and tomorrow, waiting for that, thumbs up or thumbs down on COVID-19. So in that reality, I'm sitting here wondering if I have some type of legal, if it comes back that he is COVID-19 positive, it's likely I brought it home to him. But I'm wondering now what my legal responsibility would be to the companies that I've worked with over the last 14 days to let them know that the customers that I signed during that period may have been exposed.
It's a great question, Beth, and I think it's something that we should all be thinking about. Legal implications, ethical implications, the whole 9 yards here. So I personally wouldn't even venture into a legal advice here on what to do. I know that once you're aware of the exposure and then to proceed out, I think there's some implications for that. But as far as the past goes, I don't know. Carol, Laura, any ideas or suggestions on this?
No, but I'm just looking at one of the posts here. Somebody's asking if they're being told that if they don't take the signing, that they will, I'm going reverting back here in a minute. If they don't take the signing, they'll never call them again. They're acting on threats. I wouldn't even want to work for a company like
Good.
that.
Exactly. And then you know exactly how they are right up front, and you don't have
Yeah.
to figure it out and play, get sideswiped by it later on down the road. Whatever company that is, you do not want to work with them ever.
No. But regarding Beth's situation, I don't know. I don't know how to answer her.
Yeah.
I feel terrible for her.
Yeah. Sorry,
She's
Beth.
Super lady.
I don't know if there's a protocol for this. I'd love to hear from Laura because she's our token legal nerd, but I'm not sure if she's still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, great.
And I'm not sure if it's the title company, although the title company or signing service, once you know if that is so that they don't bother you for the next 14 days. Certainly. As to backtracking, I don't know if that's them or if there's a reporting through a health agency, because they do all kinds of tracking and trying to figure out exposure and all of that. I don't think that's the signing service. I think that's like a health department of some kind, your local CDC, whatever they're called.
Yeah, they had told my husband that if it comes back positive, of course they won't give me the test because I don't have any symptoms, but understand, he didn't have any symptoms either. No fever, no dry cough, no nothing. It suddenly came on him like a hurricane.
Yeah.
But they won't give me the test, so I don't know if I have it. I don't have any symptoms. But they told him
exposed. But you would have been exposed if he does have it, just by virtue of your exposure. You wouldn't want to be going out anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. And that's my intention of kind of home sequestering myself for the next 14 days, which kind of sucks. This is my expense month, so I needed the cash, but here you go. You know, I got insurance and everything else to do this month for my business. But they told him that if he gets a positive COVID-19 test, he would be contacted by the local health organization.
Yeah.
And he and anyone in his household would have to be interviewed and try to track back their whereabouts other than grocery stores, gas stations, and maybe doctor's office, but grocery stores, gas stations would be exempt because that's kind of hard to track. But every place else that they had been, work, who they came into contact with, all that stuff would have to be under a interview with him. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I know every place I've been because I keep a schedule, but I don't know if he knows.
Beth, I want you to know Bill had, I think you knew this, but my husband had pneumonia also just a couple of months ago, and it had nothing to do with the virus.
Well, that's my hope. It's going to come back and say no, but in the meantime, I'm burning days here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. That's the tough part of this. All right, guys, we've gone past our 1 hour. I know we've got some great questions out there. I want to honor your time though, and keep this as close to our 1 hour max as possible. If you'd like to send those questions in to orders@notarycoach.com, we still have a backlog of questions that we will be able to get to, or you can just tune in next week and we'll get you live on the call so you can answer there. Thank you so much to Carol and Laura for committing so much of your time to us and the TNT audience each week. Thank you for that. And guys who are watching, thank you for growing yourself and your business on the Tuesday. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll catch you next week.
And Bill,
yes,
thank you very much for running this stuff. I've had my hand on it. It's awful.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I look forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Right, see you later.
Bye.